Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. A little bit of a bitty video today. We've got one news item and two rumours to get through. One in regards to player transfer, two in regards to, well, what was a potential managerial situation, one which could be a potential managerial situation. Frankie, is there any in particular you'd like to start with? Because and you don't necessarily know one way to say it today. So what one would you like? Would you like the player, one of the managers, and which manager? The has been or could be?
Let's go with a manager.
Which one? The one it can't be or the one it could be?
Let's go with the one it can't be.
Okay, Ruben Amorim. TalkSport earlier today. Obviously, he's on the verge of joining Manchester United. Alex Crook was on TalkSport earlier claiming Ruben Amorim agreed personal terms with West Ham, but David Sullivan was the one that pulled the plug on it. Now, I would suggest that part of that is no secret to us as West Ham fans. We knew Ruben Amorim flew over for talks, but I would suggest the part which is that he actually agreed personal terms with us is news to me, if it's true, because I certainly didn't know that. And to be honest with you, Frankie, I'm kind of inclined to not believe it. There's a little bit of me that doesn't really believe that per se.
Yeah, I think I guess it can be taken in many ways, couldn't it? When they say we agreed personal terms, did he say what he wanted? We tabled it, but he was never ever going to accept it?
Yeah.
Or was it a case that we've made him an offer and then he said yes to that? That's two totally different things. That's one,
I
him
think
saying he wants to join West Ham, and one saying that you've just met his demands.
I think one part of the problem regarding him coming to West Ham, I'm just got here. One of the sticking points was the volume of staff Amorim wanting to bring with him from Lisbon, which is going to raise doubts over the future of Ruud van Nistelrooy. Now, obviously, the latter part is no problems when it comes to like Van Nistelrooy's got nothing to do with us, but I think that is possibly one of the reasons Sullivan wasn't too keen. Supposedly, is that he wanted to bring over a lot of people, which also means a lot of not just wages, a lot of compensation as well. You've got to buy every member of staff out of their contract at Lisbon and bring them over. So that's the reasons given that Sullivan pulled the plug.
Yeah, and well, we know that he doesn't like putting his hand in his pocket for anything unless he has to. But if you're going to bring a manager in, it's only right that you give him every chance of succeeding. And if you're trying to cut his nose before he's even got started, then there's always excuses in the background. It's not the way to get off to a new managerial start. You just have to say, if we're bringing you in, we've got to listen to what you need as a manager. And if you're saying that that's what you need to succeed, then that's got to happen. But like you say, maybe that was the sticky point. Maybe that was where Sullivan had to draw the line.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to believe that part of the rumor, which is that Amorim has a lot of staff to bring with him, because most great managers have good people behind them and next to them in the dugout, and they're part of the success. I mean, I know people dismiss Eddie Howe, but you look at Bournemouth and Newcastle, Jason Tyndall stood next to him the entire time. And if he was to leave Newcastle and go somewhere else, I'd put money on it that Jason Tyndall's rocking up alongside him. And they're not always the same people. You look at Alex Ferguson, the amount of people he went through when he was at Old Trafford, changing his assistant constantly to keep up with it. And his assistant was the guy that sometimes brought the new tactics to Manchester United. But that's good management by Sir Alex in that regards to evolve with the football. So if Amorim's thinking, I've got this team behind me that I need to bring with me, what you can't do is take Amorim and nobody else, because they also contributed to the success of Ruben Amorim. So it's almost like, well, I'm not going to. How can I be successful? You don't let me bring over the reason that I am successful. You
I
have to
would
take the
say
entourage
though,
with you.
if I'm Sullivan on that, right, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it from a really sort of black and white point of view, I'd probably be sitting there and saying, yeah, I get it. And you want to bring all these people over. But I'd actually have a little bit of concern if he only wanted every single person that he had at Sporting, because there's a big difference between you having a team of Portuguese people in a Portuguese league with a team that has predominantly Portuguese players, and then bringing everyone over and chucking them into a Premier League side. And do you know what I mean? I would actually want him to be a little bit open-minded and say, you know, well, and it's been suggested that maybe at West Ham at the moment there are some communication issues, and that's things that come with it. So I'd actually want to be hearing from him. Look, I know that I can't have everything the same, because basically I'm going to bring a huge Portuguese community over into a club that's got a lot of different nationalities. So yeah, I'd want him to almost be saying to me, I am open to, these are the core staff that I need, and I understand that, but I do get that I'm going to need some, you know, other style of people around me being at a Premier League football club.
Yeah, I think the reason this rumour might irritate a few people is because of the start we've had under Lopetegui, and I think a lot of people really wanted Ruben Amorim and believed we could get him. And I still believe we could have got him, hence why he got on a plane and flew over. And I know some people think it was a bit of a strategy on his part to coax out Liverpool and try and get Liverpool to come and get him, but I don't know. I still think there was a chance we could get him. So in regards to the rumour, I believe the fact that he wanted to take over a large amount of people. I believe the rumour that Sullivan wasn't keen on paying for that. I'm not sure I believe the rumour that he agreed personal terms. I think because to me, that staff coming over is part of the personal terms, right? That is the negotiation. I want this much wage. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want this clause. I want that clause, whether it be release clause or whatever. And I want my team to come over. And if we've not agreed that, then how could we have agreed personal terms? I think. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I'd rather them have worded it, we agreed to pay his wage.
Yeah,
it's a very different thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much. We agreed to pay him £6 million a year. That was the agreement. He would get a lot of money, but then after that, we couldn't agree anything else. So it was a bit of an encore. So that's the Ruben Amorim news today from TalkSport regarding David Sullivan pulling the plug on it. Would you like the other manager, or would you like?
Yeah, go for it. Go for the manager.
Well, it's Jose Mourinho, isn't it? So last week, obviously, Man United played Fenerbahce, and Mourinho was asked about potentially returning to the Premier League. And he basically said, oh, yeah, I'd like to go back to the Premier League, but it would have to be a team that's not in European football. And off the back of that, TalkSport went, I think it was Jason Cundy, said, well, it has to be West Ham. Like, when you look at the team not in European football, it's got to be West Ham because they're big. They're a massive club. They've got the infrastructure there. They can host a manager with the character of Mourinho. They could possibly match his ambitions as a manager as well. So TalkSport was the ones that said there's basically one club for him, and that's West Ham United. Now, I don't necessarily agree personally. I think there's another couple of Premier League clubs that would maybe suit him, but it sparked a little bit of debate among West Ham fans as to whether you'd have Jose Mourinho or if he's damaged goods. Where do you sit on the debate for this one?
Well, I'm ready for the pelters that I'm going to get, because he's a Man United. He's a Tottenham man. He's a Chelsea man. So we shouldn't have any admiration for him whatsoever. But I just do. I've always liked him. I've always liked his character. After watching the Tottenham All or Nothing series on either Amazon or Netflix, whatever it was, I was drawn even more to him. I thought his man management was fantastic. But then again, I was drawn to a few people. Now, Eric Dyer actually seemed like a decent fella in that program, but he definitely can't play football. So, but yeah, I've always just liked his a bit of, I don't know, spice about him, just a bit of character, just somebody who don't take no rubbish. I mean, if there's anyone that fits into a sort of old school West Ham mentality, someone who is always willing to be the underdog and get one over on a bigger club and that sort of stuff. He's done it all his career. He loves to do it. And he'd never have anyone saying, whatever team he was at, that they couldn't go and beat anybody else in a football match. And I love that. And I've always said that for West Ham. I hate that when we, in the past, roll over and have our bellies tickled by Liverpool or Man City, and we just take it, oh, we can't win these games, like Allardyce used to just write them games off and forget about them. I hate that. I want a manager who comes in and will always come up with a plan and think of a way and believe that when we go on that football pitch, we can beat them. So I would love that about him. I think he'd come and win us something else as well. I think he'd come in, and whether it be a League Cup or whether it be something, I mean, it's not going to be exciting football, but I think we would grind out results, and almost as Moyes managed to in the Conference League. I feel like he'd make you a bit of a cup team. I think a club like West Ham would make us doubly hard to beat. I think we would, on our day, be able to beat anybody. And that screams of a side that could go and win a trophy. So, I mean, I would be for it. I like him. I like his character. Almost his last hurrah of his career. It would almost be the writings on the wall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that last part. It did feel like it would be one last go at like a big prestigious. I mean, you might go get other big clubs like Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce is a massive club, but it's a little bit out of the limelight in terms of the main media kind of thing. It's huge over in Turkey, obviously, but it feels like it's quite restricted to Turkey only. I'm quite conflicted on it, truth be told, Frankie. I agree. The guy's box office in terms, like, I'd actually look forward to his press conferences. I currently am not looking forward to them at all. And when I tune in, I don't even understand what he's going on about. And Lopetegui's answers don't even match the questions a lot of the time and stuff like that. And it's just, I think because at the minute, because Lopetegui is quite a dire character, it's almost like makes Mourinho a bit more appealing in the sense that he'd come with that charisma, which we're maybe lacking at the minute. Not that that should matter too much, but you speak about communication issues with Lopetegui. Mourinho certainly doesn't have any communication issues with his players. They know exactly what he requires from them. But the reason I'm conflicted is, on one hand, let's do the negatives first. I don't like his football, and I feel it'd be very hypocritical to want change from Moyes because I don't like his football and go get in what is basically a souped-up version of. It's like a winning version of David Moyes, if you like. So I'd feel very hypocritical in regards to that, and he would leave the club in a mess. I feel quite confident that the club, if Mourinho arrived today and Mourinho left in 3 years, the state he leaves it in is probably worse to the state it's in today. However, the bit in the middle might be more enjoyable. The bit in the middle might yield success. It can be very short term sometimes, Mourinho, but in that short term, it can actually bring success for you before everything goes wrong. But the biggest thing that would make me say no is I'm just unsure how he'd get on with Tim Steidten controlling things. I don't know how he'd get on with that because he's a big personality, Mourinho. And I think with Lopetegui and Moyes, if Moyes is employed after Tim Steidten, I think Tim Steidten can have authority over those to some extent. I'm not sure he does with Mourinho. I think Mourinho comes in and he's the main character at the club immediately. Just bang, I am Jose Mourinho. Everyone move out to the side. And you almost become Jose Mourinho SC a little bit. When the journalists turn up at the training ground for the press conference, they're there for Mourinho. They're not there for the West Ham manager. I bet you there'd been more journalists attending West Ham press conferences if we had him as manager because they're there for him. I'm unsure how Tim Steidten would be with that, given he's trying to make him he wants to be the face of West Ham United, hence why he's taking jet pictures and he's walking down the tunnels, shaking hands with the players for the game and stuff. Tim Steiden's trying to be the main character, and I don't think he gets to be that with Jose Mourinho at the football club. I would suggest it's impossible. Mourinho is too big in terms of a personality and a character. And the media love him. The media love him because he fills headlines. They know he's going to say something. He's going to do something. The Man United game, after the Man U Fenerbahce game, there's a picture of him up in the stand after being sent off, and it was just like pure Mourinho. But it was the show. He was the panto villain and stuff like that. So I'm conflicted. I'm on the side of no. But this is where I am. It was a bit like with Terzic. Would you take Eden Terzic? My answer was, after David Moyes, I wouldn't have. No. Would I have taken Mourinho after David Moyes? No. But would I take Mourinho after Lopetegui? Probably.
And I would completely agree. If you're sidestepping what we're watching now to Mourinho, I don't think it seems that bad. I think actually everyone would just be over the moon with it. But there's a lot to be said, Gio, for we're a massive club. We sing it. And even though it seems tongue-in-cheek, it's not. We are absolutely huge. And it don't matter where you go in the world, there will always be West Ham fans. And, you know, you can be anywhere. And at some point, we deserve a massive manager. And the way you see Mourinho's been, and I totally agree with everything that you just said, I still don't think Mourinho is bigger than West Ham. And I think he could come in and almost drag us to where we belong, which is higher up and seen as a big football club. You need to get to where we need to be as West Ham United and where we deserve to be. You need a manager who believes that. And I'm not sure we've had a manager who believes that yet. I'm not sure Moyes ever, well, he didn't, because the words that he used to say, we should be grateful. No, we shouldn't. This is exactly where we belong, is winning trophies. That's West Ham United. We've got history. We've got the support. We've got the fan base. We've got everything to be a massive, massive football club. And I want a manager who comes in. And Mourinho loved West Ham. And he even come out after his first season when we played Chelsea, and he turned around and said, I don't see why our fans can't make the noise that their fans do. Yeah. And he's always had a soft spot for West Ham. And I think he would come in and get us. I think he would get.
I do agree. I agree with that. I think he already does, doesn't he? I think he does get. I think I could see I could see us being appealing to him. I'd imagine there's a few clubs when he made that comment, you tend to make it with someone in mind, don't you? It's not just something you come out with. You've probably thought about it, and I know this is a really random thing I'm way to bring in, but it's kind of makes sense. But I remember Slaven Bilic, before he got the West Brom job, he said he wrote down 5 jobs that he would have liked in England, and West Brom was one of them. No reason to disbelieve him, but I imagine if Mourinho did the same, I think West Ham would be on that list. I can see why he'd go. I'd like West Ham, actually, because they're sleeping giant. And all top managers are going to be back themselves and go, I'm the guy that can do that. I'm the guy that can take them up into the European spots and win a trophy and stuff. Anyway, that leaves one bit of bitty news. Is a player, and that is Jean-Clair Todibo, Frankie. So now he's played enough appearances now in order to trigger his obligation to buy. All we've got to do is avoid relegation. And he's a West Ham United player for 40 million euro. But I have to say, I've been very impressed by him so far this season. You know, there was a lot. He's got a big reputation, hasn't he, in football, because he was held in high regard at a young age and moved to Barcelona at a really young age as well. And yes, it didn't work out, but not everybody goes and joins Barcelona as a young prospect. And when he came in, I thought his first game, he looked good off the bench. And then I think, can't remember what Bournemouth in the cup, I felt he was really ropey in that one. But I have to say, he's just good. Don't know how to describe it. He's just really good. And I'm not 40 million euros a lot to commit to a player next summer. And you obviously pray they work out. But so far, I've been impressed.
Yeah, I've been really impressed. Before he joined, I'd always said that I thought he was going to be the sort of surprise pick of the signings over the summer, and I thought he was really going to hit the ground running. And then he come out against Bournemouth and looked really shaky. I was like, oh, what's happened here? But he's grown into it more and more. I think we probably did the right thing, not throwing him straight in. He actually needed that settling time, which I think was good. And actually, I think that's, if we're going to pick out some positives of Lopetegui, I think he is reading certain situations quite well. And I think he read that situation perfectly.
Yeah, Todibo's praised him for it, hasn't he? Todibo said, manager's done the right thing with me here.
100%. Don't throw him in. Don't knock his confidence. Give him time. I think everything was done exactly right. So I was happy with that. And he's just growing and growing more and more. He looks solid. He looks strong. He looks fast. Some of them headers that he won against Man United last weekend were just fantastic. Just committing and getting his head on the ball and clearing his lines. And it just installs confidence all over the pitch when you've got a player like that. So no, really, really happy with his start. I'm not quite seeing a partnership with Kilman yet. I think it's because it's been a bit in and out. And again, obviously, he didn't start with Kilman at the weekend. So I'm not seeing them come together as a centre-back force, if you like, at the moment. But hopefully over time that comes together and that, you know, flourishes and sort of turns into, I mean, it's, when you look at the two centre-backs there and what we've committed from West Ham, you know, 80 million odd pound on two centre-halves is a massive commitment from West Ham, especially when we all point up the other end of the pitch and say that's where we need somebody at the moment. So yeah, the fact we spent 80 million pound there is, well, we needed it to work out. We've been spending it at the other end of the pitch on strikers, and when it doesn't work out, well, I think when we've spoke about some of the signings that we've had up front before and said, well, you know, 40 million pound kind of is what you expect to pay on a striker. It isn't what you expect to spend on a centre half. And I think everyone sat here and said Kilman was trumpy for what he is. Todibo is a lot of money. We really need them to work out. And if they don't, where we lose a lot of money in the striker sort of position, we spend 40 odd million, it drops to 15, 20, whatever by the time we sell them. That could have happened a lot quicker at the back if they hadn't worked out. So, but no, I'm really happy with it and hopeful that, you know, they could end up really working out well for us.
Yeah, it's a Lopetegui centre back and a Tim Steidten centre back as well. As long as like one of each, and they're both performing really well too. And it's hard, isn't it, to make, like you said, two centre backs, 80 million for them to both work out is probably unlikely. And you'd imagine one would work out and perhaps one wouldn't. So for them to both to be is a huge success, and it's, you know, an expensive outlay, but the performances so far warranted it, and if they continue like this for the rest of the season, happy days. Anyway, to summarise, Frankie, the Amorim rumour, kind of believe it. Mourinho kind of want it, and Todibo kind of love it. Is that fair to say?
That is a perfect summary, Joe. Absolutely perfect.
And we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Get involved in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the Hammers chat. Both things are free. It takes a handful of seconds. Myself and Frankie, well, we're going to catch up with you tomorrow night, actually. We've just discussed the Man U game. Looked ahead to Nottingham Forest game. That'll be up. However, if you're watching right now and you think, I don't want to wait till then. I want it now. Just wait. In about 5 seconds, it'll be on your screen. You can click it and go watch it early. It's as simple as that. Catch you in a bit.